and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week, so I think let's go through these briefly one by one, and then we'll look at doing a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Benu Euphoria, and this is the Earl Grey tea. We have another Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea. We have a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in gold, a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in silver. We have a Parker Duofold, this is a Centennial size, and this is the Ruthenium. We have a Hongdian M2, an Asvine P80, a Parker Duofold Prestige Burgundy Chevron. We have an Onoto, and this is the University of Oxford. And we have an Onoto, and this is a Charles Dickens David Copperfield. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea, and this was the first one I bought, and a friend, Ali, in the US, she sent me some of these gold and silver stickers. So this one's a gold sticker, and that will allow me to work out whether or not I've got a gold or more of a orangey yellowy ink in it, or a silver or grey ink. So this is the broad nib version. I really do like the Earl Grey tea from Benu. This is a really beautiful pen, and it comes with a number 6 size nib there, and that's a broad nib. It's a cartridge converter. You can see lots of gold here. It does have Earl Grey tea infused into the body and cap, as well as the blue, which is lavender as well, which you do get in Earl Grey tea. It really is a beautiful pen. I love writing with this a lot. I do have it inked up with Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea, and now that I have a second one, the second one here was sent to me by a viewer, Bill, in the US, and that's a medium nib, so I've now got the Diamine Earl Grey tea in this one. But again, very similar pen, really is nice. I do like it a lot, and if I unscrew that cap there, you'll see it's got a medium nib, ABS plastic feed, but again, it's got that Earl Grey tea infused into that resin. This, I have to say, is something I've not seen from any other pen manufacturer. Yes, they do other infusions maybe, or mixtures, but this is, I've never seen any manufacturer put tea in a pen. So for me, that I like Earl Grey tea a lot. I drink it all the time. So for me, that is certainly a special thing in a pen. The next pen inked up, it's a fairly new edition in July. This is a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in gold. I got one in gold and I got one in silver, and you can see there the Parker cap finial. It's got the clip, feather clip there. These are actually brass bodies with a gold or silver vermeil overlay there, and you can see a number 6 size Parker nib. This one is a fine nib. I kind of wanted it in a medium. I couldn't get it in a medium, so I elected for the fine. There were mediums around, but they wanted about £200 more, and I was not going to pay that amount of money for one. So I elected for the fine nib. I've got some other nibs that I can swap in, or other sections from Parker Duofolds, so I figured I could do that, but that one writes quite nicely. So I bought that one in July, and I also bought this one, which is, again, another Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in the silver. And again, it's a brass, resin and a brass body, and you then have the silver overlay. Again, you've got the Parker feather clip. You've got the cap finial there. The Godron, if you don't know, is the kind of fluting that's going on here on that pen. You can just see that the way it's lighting up. Again, number 6 size Parker nib there, And this one, just want to double check. Yeah, that's a medium that you can see there on the feed. This one, I like how it writes. You can post the cap again if you want to. I'm not normally a cap poster, but you can do on these. They don't post deeply, but they do post securely. The next one where you can see is about the same size. Again, it is a Centennial. It's the Parker Duofold Centennial Ruthenium. And you've got the Parker logo there. I have wanted this pen for, I think it was about a year. The first time I set eyes on it in a pen club. And the owner, Andrew, was maybe thinking about selling it, but he didn't in the end. So I've been looking online, and I set up some eBay alerts, and strangely, I've seen some in Japan, but they wanted £1,000 or £1,200 for it, and I'm not paying that. And then I saw this one, and I got it for £600. So very glad that I did. I got it from a UK seller. Now this one has a fine nib there that you can see on the feed. Parker always put it on the feed, not on the actual nib. And to be honest, actually, I kind of like that idea. It doesn't distract, so you can just have a standard nib imprint. It kind of makes sense doing it that way. It's a beautiful pen. I love how it writes, and I love the weight in my hand as well. I don't normally post caps. I can do on this one, but it won't. Again, it won't post deeply, but it does post securely. Now, all of these Parkers here are cartridge converter pens. So the Benus as well. So they hold about 0.7 milliliters of ink. I have this one, the next pen, which is a very short pocket pen, and I'm not into pocket pens, but Dr. Joe Vitolo sent this one to me from Amazon. It's a Hongdian M2 pocket pen, very similar to a Kaweco or Kaweco Sport. Very, very small in my hand. I wouldn't be able to write, well, I probably could write with it, but I would struggle. But if you post the cap, it actually makes it a decent sized pen. So I can honestly, I'm not into pocket pens, but I can honestly see why people do like pocket pens, because they're very small. You can chuck them into a bag, and you can post them, and it becomes a full size pen. So this kind of pen I would post the cap on. It is an anodized, I want to say aluminium. I do wonder if that is going to scratch over time. That said, it is, I want to say, a plastic insert there, so it shouldn't scratch too much. It's not metal on metal, but I always do worry a little bit about that, because the last thing you want to do is scratch up the rear end of your pen. The next pen here, inked up this week, is an Asvine P80. And this was another one that was sent to me by Dr. Joe. It really is a nice pen. I like this overlay. Very much reminds me of the Visconti watermark in many different ways. It has a translucent resin with a chrome overlay. I say chrome, it's not silver. I think it's probably a steel overlay and then chrome on top. But it's a beautiful pen, and I do like it a lot. If I unscrew the cap, you'll see it has a number 6 size Asvine nib, and that is a medium nib there. You can post the cap. It's not going to post deeply, but it does post fairly securely, but it makes it very back weighted. And you've also got to be careful, because you're posting it onto this piston knob, which is going to start twisting when you pull it around. So you do have to be a little bit careful with posting that. And I think that's part of the reason why I don't post a lot of my pens, the caps, because I do have a lot of piston filling pens, and you do just have to be a little bit careful on which pens are going to post, and which pens were maybe designed to be posted and which are not. The next pen inked up is the Parker Duofold Prestige Burgundy Chevron. This is a pen I wanted for a while, a couple of years, I think. Maybe more than that, actually. And I've just never seen it for a price. The Prestige Chevrons typically go for around about £600, £700. And my blue one, I think I got for about 400, and I got a black one for about the same, just under 400. And I wanted this one, but they've all been selling for about 600, and I'm just not prepared to pay that. The Burgundy isn't probably my favourite colour, so I really was looking to buy one for around about 350, and strange enough, this one came up for sale in the UK. So you've got the Parker cap finial and the feather clip. You've got a number 6 size nib there. This came with an extra fine. It writes a little bit more like a Western fine nib. Does still have that extra fine coarseness though, so I will probably have to smooth that nib out or round it off a little bit. You can post the cap as well. It will post securely but not deeply, and it makes this pen a wand. So honestly, I wouldn't want to be posting that cap. But this is a very beautiful material. I like the chevron there. It really is nice. And I like that I managed to finally pick that one up. And that one, I've got the blue chevron, I've got the black chevron, I've got the burgundy chevron, and now I have the ruthenium. So I think I've got the whole set on this one now. Which, if you know of another colour out there, then do let me know, because I'm probably going to want to get it. But I kind of wish that they may have done a green chevron or a light blue, like a watermark inspired blue, something along that kind of sort of turquoisey colour. And yeah, I don't know what other. I'm trying to think what other colours. A red, actually, a red would have been nice. Like a KWZ Beefeater, like a mid to dark red would have been nice as well. So yeah, maybe Parker missed the boat on that one. I don't know. Maybe it costs them a lot to make those. Again, I don't know. But it's a shame that they've only, from what I've seen, only stopped on those colours. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, University of Oxford. I've always wanted this diffusion bonded acrylic in this like yellowy golden colour. There were two Onotos made in this. There was this one, which has got a blue stripe on it, and the Shakespeare that had a black, but that was only limited to 52, where I think this was limited to a couple of hundred, maybe. Seeing if I can see it on the... There's no numbering here. It was actually just a numbered edition. But I managed to pick this one up for... maybe not. It wasn't a bad price. It wasn't a great price, but it wasn't a bad price. It was a good price. And this comes with a number 6 size Onoto, number 7 18 cat gold nib with an ABS plastic feed. It's a cartridge converter, and you can post the cap on that one. And it doesn't really feel back weighted, so it's one that you could easily post the cap if you haven't got a weighted body there. You can get an additional, I think it's 7 grams, and have a brass insert put into the body, which is what I have done on this one here. And that makes it a lot more heavier, or it certainly feels heavier. So this is the Onoto, and this is the Charles Dickens David Copperfield. And again, you've got the Onoto cap finial there. You've got the Onoto silver clip. You've got this beautiful silver... or grey pearlescent diffusion bonded acrylic there with a black. Very, very nice. And if I unscrew the cap, you've got a number 7 size Onoto 18 karat gold medium nib, cartridge converter pen. I can post the cap. It does feel a little bit more back weighted because I have got a brass insert in the body there, so that's adding a bit more weight towards the back of the pen. But you can post the cap if you want to on this one, and that's just loosening up a little bit, so I just tighten that up. But yeah, it's a really, really nice pen. I really am liking the Onotos. I've added quite a few Onotos to my collection more recently in the last year to 2 years, and I'm absolutely loving those pens. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen here is the Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea. So we'll do an ink swatch first. And you can see this has a really nice coloured ink. And I actually have the gold little sticker there on this one. Just to show it's more of a goldy, orangey coloured ink. So this is the Benu Euphoria. And it's the Earl Grey tea. And it's a broad steel nib. And the ink in here is a Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea, which is a beautiful ink. I have a lot of bottles of that because I do like that ink. The next pen is the Benu Euphoria, again Earl Grey tea, but this one has got a silver sticker on it. So this is a medium nib sent to me by Bill. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this nib writes perfectly. It really is a nice writing nib. So this is the Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea, and it's a medium and a steel nib. And there's nothing wrong with steel nibs. I have a lot of pens with gold nibs, but equally I find the steel nibs write as good, if not sometimes better. The ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. And I'll try not to call it tea because it is just Diamine Earl Grey. But that's a lovely medium nib there on a Benu. The next pen is a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in gold. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a finer nib, and it is actually a fine nib. So this is the Parker Duofold Centennial Godron, and it's a fine, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is, I thought it was, it's Akamon SBRE Brown, which it looks different in different pens, but it is a nice sort of medium warming brown colour. The next pen inked up is a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in silver. And yes, I have been on a little bit of a kick on Parker Duofold Centennials lately in the last year. I had Parkers for quite a few years. I then got the classic pen CP5s at the London Pen Show in March, and then I've just been on a bit more of a kick ever since. So this is the Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in medium, 18 karat gold. And then the ink in here is, I just want to say Diamine Earl Grey, but it's not. It is, actually, hold on, maybe it is. Godron Silver, yeah, it is Diamine Earl Grey. I thought it might have been another ink. So Diamine Earl Grey ink there. The reason why I thought that is that ink looked a little bit more on the darker side. The next pen is the Parker Duofold Centennial Ruthenium. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is the Parker Duofold, and this is Centennial, Ruthenium, and this is a fine nib, and it's an 18 karat gold. And then the ink in here also is Diamond Earl Grey, which it looks a lot more darker. So this is where it can vary a lot between each pen. Depends on the nib width and also how wet the nib writes as well. The next pen inked up is the Hongdian M2. And I'm going to have to post this pen because it's going to be too short for me. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And I'm actually fairly surprised at how this nib writes. Yes, it does write a little bit. It is a medium nib, but it writes more like a fine, I would say. This is the Hongdian. You could almost argue an extra fine. Hongdian M2 medium steel nib. I did have to work on the nib because it was quite scratchy. The tines were very tight, but it's now writing a bit wetter. And then the ink in here is Franklin, Christoph, Sweet Maroon. I always am thinking, when I'm writing this, I'm always thinking of Spanish blue. And it's not blue, but it's just, that's what I remember. The next pen inked up is the Asvine P80. So we'll do an ink swatch again. And I have to say, I really do like this ink. It's a beautiful ink. I do find it a little bit dry in some nibs though, in some pens. So this is the Asvine P80. And I do sometimes have to prime this converter because it does start running a little bit dry. Maybe that's part of the reason. So it's a P80 and it's a medium and it's a steel nib. And the ink in here is Waterman Inspired Blue. And as much as I love that colour ink, I do find it's a little bit dry, whiter of an ink in quite a lot of pens. So you do need to put that ink, I find, in a more wetter pen. The next pen inked up is the Parker Duofold Prestige, and this is the Burgundy Chevron. So we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is the, when I want to say this, I kind of shiver. It's an extra fine nib. I don't normally do extra fine, but you can see here, this nib is very wet. I think if most extra fine nibs were as wet as this, I would like more extra fine nibs. So this is the Parker, and it's the Duofold Prestige, and it's the Burgundy Chevron. And it's an, I was going to put an X there, but it's an extra fine 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Diamine Ochre, which normally it's a darker brown than Ackerman SBRE brown. But in this pen, it's a really, really dark brown for some reason. I think it's probably because it's an extra fine nib, but it's also quite a wet nib. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, University of Oxford. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is a little bit of a, it feels a little bit more like a crisp italic pen. So this is the Onoto, University of Oxford. The ink is also a dry ink, and that could be part of the problem. So it's a medium 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Lamy Mango. Which I did have to reconstitute because I put it in a lovely crystal glass inkwell, and the water had evaporated out of the ink, leaving a very small amount of dye. So I did have to reconstitute that. It's come back to exactly the same colour because I know how much sort of ink or water in that ink was there originally. But I do find that that's quite a dry ink normally. And then the last pen inked up is the Onoto Charles Dickens David Copperfield. And I will do an ink swatch here. And we'll just do that. And it's an Onoto. And I'm actually off camera here. So let me see if I can actually get a little bit more on camera. Hold on a moment. I have to move a few things around. There you go. So it's an Onoto, and it's the. I'm just going to shorten this to David Copperfield. Otherwise, I'll probably run out of space. It's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib, and the ink in here is KWZ Old Smoke, which is a very nice coloured grey ink. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea in a broad steel nib inked up with Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea. We have a Benu Euphoria Earl Grey tea in a medium steel nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackerman SBRE Brown. We have a Parker Duofold Centennial Godron in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Parker Duofold Centennial Ruthenium in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Hongdian M2 in a medium steel nib inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. We have an Asvine P80 in a medium steel nib inked up with Waterman Inspired Blue. We have a Parker Duofold Prestige Burgundy Chevron in an extra fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. We have an Onoto University of Oxford in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy Mango. And we have an Onoto David Copperfield in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Old Smoke. So there you have it. That's my Coney ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.